Hello everyone. So we'll be continuing the segment with respect to the packaging and the packing in your international trade logistics. So we were talking about the types of packaging. Now further we'll be talking about what is the market out there when we are talking about this packaging. So there is a data set from the Global Market Insights. This is a report which tells about that what exactly is the packaging materials market. Right. So it provides you with the global statistics which is there onto your screens, and this global statistics will tell you the compounded annual growth rate between this time period of 2017 to 24, which is more than 3%. So you would just see from the statistics that what exactly is the share of packaging in the world. Where does it exactly stands? What is the industry size with respect to the packaging? So you would see that how the global industry size would grow by 2024. It will be more than USD 1.3 trillion, right? So you would see here that even the bottles and cans industry share in 2016 it was 20%. So you would see that what exactly is the the market for these products, right? Then how they have grown over the period of time. What is the statistics over the period of time? What is the expectations, right? Over the period of time, as in the industry size is expected to triple into size, and then the share of this food industry, you would see such a dominant share that this very segment is holding. So when we talk about this packaging, this itself is a big industry. This itself is a global industry which is multi-trillion, I would say multi-trillion industry, and it is expected to grow somehow around your compounded annual growth rate of your, let's say, more than even 3 to 4%. So that is what is when we say that Global Market Insights, this report shows that what is the statistics with respect to your the packaging out there. So continuing the segment is the another report by the Fortune Business Insights, which provides you the data with respect to the Asia Pacific food packaging market, and it is talking about the size of the market from 2017 to what are the predictions for 2028. So you would see the data set for 19 and 20 are easily shown up onto these graphs, and how it is being showing that how this Asian Pacific market, this food packaging market would grow over the period of time, and the amount reflecting about around here is in USD billion dollars, right? So you would see, and this is an authenticated data set which has been provided by your Fortune Business Insights, and this shows that what are the market predictions with respect to the just the food packaging market only, right? Forget about any electronics, anything else. It's just the food packaging market that they are referring to, that yes, your food packaging market would enlarge by or would treble in size. So you would see that there is a sharp rise into the these graphs that have been presented out here, and it is expected that this market would rise over the period of time. Further on, when we are talking about this food market, this is the global food packaging market share, and the data set is again by this Fortune Business Insight report, which shows you the statistics for 2020. So you would see predominantly what is the share taken by bakery and confectionery, and then fruits and vegetables, the segment taken up by the dairy pulses, meat, poultry, right? So this shows that what a great market of your stands out there for the food packaging, right? Now when we are talking about this food packaging, you have seen that how over the period of time this entire you could say global food packaging market has treble into size. It has the ratio has gone up, and it shows that how much relevant it is to focus the attention towards this particular aspect of your product, that is the packing and the packaging of the product. Because the smooth packaging and plus the packing, the appropriate packaging, labeling, whether we talk about, so all these things, they matter a lot when we are serving the international markets, right? So this this was the a little brief about the packaging of the product, and as shown we'll be talking about now the labeling and the marking of the product. So labeling and marking, everybody knows that this labeling and this marking, they differ from country to country. As I've given an example with respect to Canada, it mandates that the specifications have to conform to, let's say, some standards, which could be like, for example, if you are exporting any clothes or any apparels to Canada, then you have to provide the washing instructions onto the labeling of the product, right? So those washing instructions should be provided no matter what. Similarly, when we are talking about electronic products, so there stands as CE, that is a Confirmed European, that is a certification which is quite akin to the one that we use in India. For example, in India we use a BIS certification or ISI certification for the same. So these labeling, these marks that we use onto the the labeling of the, whether it is the inner packaging, so onto all these clothing things, you would see a small strip inside there into the inner lining of your the clothing, the fabric, which gives a little instructions about, let's say, the washing instructions. There would be certain symbols which says do not tumble, do not iron it straight, right, or just go for the dry clean and so that. So those are the sort of your instructions which are there onto the labeling of the product, and sometimes certain symbols are also used, and those symbols are certified by the, as per the international standards. They do not differ from country to country. So if you are getting at that triangle mark with a little that S mark onto the same, you have seen that is being used for the irons, right? Similarly, certain countries, they prefer the GS marking. For example, whether it is Germany, it is Austria or Poland, they go for this GS marking onto the product, right? So this labeling and the marking of the product, it matters a lot, right? Similarly, certain countries like Europe, they prefer that the product should have the eco labeling onto the product. Now when we are saying that eco labeling should be there, eco labeling itself means that the product corresponds to the environmental standards. So when you are using those eco labeling, it is not like you can, in any case, you can just simply write it down that this is eco labeling, or you will just use those symbols which are there as per the eco labeling. You have to conform to those standards. So Europe says that when you are serving the European markets, you have to abide by the eco labels for the same, right? Similarly, European Union, it calls for the Blue Angel marking also, which is there for the environmental compliance. And similarly, when serving the Gulf nations, the labeling has to be done in Arabic also, right? And the people are supposed, the exporters are supposed to mention the dates of the manufacturing expiry, which otherwise is also there into each and product, every product that gets imported into India also, that we mandate that there should be a mention of the dates of the manufacturing and expiry. Similarly, if you are serving the Indonesian markets further mandates it that if the product is a halal one with respect to your non-vegetarian products, if it is a halal, then halal labeling should be done onto the same, because then again comes the socio-cultural beliefs of the people, sentiments of the people. So you have to be very specific of the labels that you use. If it is a halal label, that means a good is a that you are consuming that particular non vegetarian product, that is halal, right? So similarly, if you are serving into Indian markets, you have to mention that the good is vegetarian or non-vegetarian. Otherwise it would spark a number of controversies, because certain people, they do not prefer just because of their individual perceptions, or their cultural beliefs, their religious beliefs. So every point of view is very crucial, very important. So the intent should be that no one should inflict any harm, any should not hurt any person with respect to whatever their food habits, as in using the not providing the appropriate marks for the goods which are non-vegetarian. So that is never ever acceptable in any region, be it any region. Every region mandates for that the goods should be specified whether they are vegetarian goods or vegetarian ones. Nowadays this concept vegan is there, so you have to mention that this is a vegan product, this is a plant-based, plant source product, right? None of the you could say the dairy elements or the non-vegetarian elements being used in the processing or the production of the product, right? So that means you have to be very cautious when labeling, when marking the products, because whether you are serving the international market, so there stands the country name along with you are representing a nation, so you have to be very cautious of the labeling and the marking, right? Now I was talking about this eco labeling logo. This has actually been introduced way back in 90s, and this is one of the highest standard which is used for corresponding to the environmental standards. And this this very standard of your eco labeling, it shows there is a European Union flower symbol onto the same, and it shows that this, if the product is written that it is an eco label is mentioned onto that product, so the product is meeting all the criteria which is there for meeting the environmental standards. So be it your with respect to telling up that the product is really a green product because it is adopting to all those standards of reducing, reusing, repairing, right? So that means that when we are saying that yes, we have this product is a green product in in character, that means the product is such that it showcases and empowers the people's choices for sustainability. And you could also say that it is also benefiting the environment, it is benefiting the society and encouraging the people to go for the sustainable practices. Further on, you could say, when we are talking about that the product is a green product, that means the product is natural, the product is free from any sort of your toxic elements, and and the product is such which is climate neutral also, right? And further on, when we say that the product is meeting all those European Union labeling the instruction, so that means the product is not causing, not inflicting any harm to the environment in terms of let's say using those harmful chemicals or releasing the harmful emissions into the air or to the water, right? And further on, when you are saying that this product is energy efficient, as you would see on to number of your electronic products, that they are energy efficient, it is a 5-star AC or it is a 3-star AC or 5-star refrigerator or 3-star refrigerator. You would see number of further companies entering into our Asian markets, and then they saying that the product is such that it is energy efficient and it releases the least CO2. So those people who are environmentally who are having this more inclination towards the environment or the sustainability, definitely those people would prefer those products which are energy efficient. First, that would reduce your cost, right? Second, it will be safe for you and for the society also. And when the product is there as per the standards which are given for the environment, that is, we were talking about these eco labeling. So these products are rather, much more durable, they are easy to repair and even recycle, right? So when we are talking about these eco labels, that eco label, it's not just a logo, but it is an affirmation that you are meeting all the criterions, meeting all the standards as laid down to make the product a green product in in character, in spirit. Further on, labeling, the labeling has to be very, very particular with respect to, all the precautions, because labeling of a product, it indicates what is the quantum, what is the type of ingredients that you use in a product, what are the usage instructions, what are the, precautionary advices, or what are the practices that can be used for the cargo. So labeling a product indicates its quantity, its precautions, and its safety instructions, the MRP, and labeling also tells you that the what is the manufacturing date of the product, when it is going to get expired, what are the essential. Nowadays you would see a product wherein that labeling also specifies that what are the essential benefits, especially onto these medicines. You would see that what are the essential benefits of using a product, right? Or there stands a statutory warning onto certain products, whether it is the tobacco products that we call the sin products, right, or it is a medicine that is to be used, so or it's a protein powder that is to be used. So you would see those safety precautions, those safety instructions there, mapped onto the main packaging of the product. Further, if proper marking is being done, marking means using proper symbols, using proper, you could say, the very marks that are to be used, right? Because if these marks are properly mentioned onto the cargo, then the cargo can easily be protected from any sort of, you could say, the hazards that can be a little bit, maybe that can be a problematic one later on. So marking basically means this is an identification number, these could be any instructions, these could be any cautionary notes, your weight, specification, any marks which has been given by the United Nations. Marks means identification marks, right? Or any such thing onto the outer packaging of the products, which shows supposedly, talking about, let's say, any refrigerator. So you would see, if you like onto the very exterior of the packaging of the this refrigerator, you would see there would be different marks. There would be a hook mark, that means the good can be hooked using the forklifts. There could be fragile, that written somewhere that this is fragile. There would be another marking which shows that handle with care. So these are what? These are the markings, these are the descriptive names or the identification marks which tells you, which indicates that the product has to be handled with care, the product is fragile in nature, the product supports the hooking of the article, or the product does not suppose the supports the hooking of the article using the forklifts. And then you would see another marking instructions would also be there. There would be ISI mark for the product. There would be other instructions for the product which will be very useful for the transportation. So if it is written hazardous, sub symbols, or something, a fire extinguisher mark is there, so that tells you the product is dangerous. So no fiery element should remain within that periphery of that particular product, or if the product is corrosive in nature, so no chemical should be there again into that close vicinity of the product. So these things are to be very carefully being taken upon when we are talking about the the marking and the labeling of the product. So these transit packing symbols, they are very it is very crucial to carefully study the same and then put up those marking instructions onto the same. For example, if I say that you could just see onto your screens that these are the handling marks which are normally being used. So you would see for the food products, these sort of glass and fork symbol would be used, and if the product is such that is to be protected from heat, so this sort of your the marking would be used. Similarly, if the product is fragile in nature, you would have a specific marking symbol for the same. And similarly, as I mentioned, that lift with the fork or hooks or not, this way up means that this particular product is to be taken up in this particular position only. Handled with care, the product is very fragile in nature, so it has to be handled in care. Keep dry means to protect it from any sort of your biological hazards, that is, let's say from rain, from some certain moist temperature. Center of gravity, again, so these are the different symbols, that these are the different marks for the identification that supports the easy transportation, and that helps in the transit of the items, that helps in easily handling of the goods, right. Again, as I was saying, the precautions that are to be taken up with respect to color, number and shape. So you would see a different number of symbols out here, as I was telling you about the ironing also. Dry clean symbols are there, the symbols from drying, washing, bleaching, right, and accordingly see where the ironing is not to be done, a cross is put over the same. Similarly, when the product is to be simply dry clean, then the instructions with respect to the same would be used. So now one has to see the precautionary guidelines with respect to the color, number and the shape that you use. You cannot create a shape of your own, right? It has to meet the international standards. So there stands a very standard chart for the colors, for the numbers, for the shapes. You cannot create altogether a new one for you, because since you are serving the international market, the standards are very uniform, right? And so these precautions, they matter a lot when we are serving the international markets. So as I was referring to another example, we are in in US and Canada and many other nations, when we are talking about this this clothing, so there stands clothing instructions. So again, just correspond to your screens and you would see that the fiber content with respect to, let's see, the country of origin would be mentioned, that what is its country of origin. You would see into every clothing apparel that you buy, that there would be care labeling also, because USA specifically, if I talk about, it goes for this care labeling wherein it prefers using the symbols instead of any written instruction. Similarly, when we are talking about the fiber content, it specifies the country of origin, it tells you about that what are the washing instructions and about the manufacturer, right, and how the label is to be placed. That is also important, whether it is to be placed and right at the back of the shirt or whatever it is, or onto the right side or onto the left side. So the placement instructions are also accordingly provided. Similarly, when you are talking about these instructions should be given, you would see, both onto English language and into your French language or whatever language is recommended by that particular nation. So all these instructions, all these set of guidelines have to be very carefully, very minutely be taken up when you are serving the international markets, when you are catering to the global markets, because each and every symbol that you use onto these labeling, it conveys a very strong message, right? So if it is carbon safe, the similar footprints would be used for the same. If the product is dry clean safe, then accordingly the symbols be used. If the product is not safe for bleaching, you would use the correspondingly the same sort, that sort of your symbol. Similarly, if the product can be hanged onto a hanger or not. So all these instructions, they should be very carefully, they should be very logically being placed onto that that, let's say, whether it's the fiber content we are talking about, the food specifications, the medicine specifications. So that is why I was saying that packaging and packing, they play a very crucial role when you are serving the international markets, because all these colors, numbers, labeling instructions, marking, everything holds a very strong, they are very strong, having very strong, you could say, relevance, and it is, having a key impact onto the customer mindset, right? So these are the little things with respect to the packaging and the packing of the products. We'll be talking about a number of other aspects with respect to your IT list in the coming segments. So thank you for the day.